What I'm talking about today is spreading the political message of there are basic human rights that we all have, no matter what you believe about vaccines, no matter if you believe in God or not, irrelevant. Basic human rights are non-negotiable. You don't get to withhold medical services from people based on their belief. You don't get to deprive them of social interaction. Okay, like this stuff, listen to the speeches. That's the content of them. Man, you guys, I think I had the epiphany of like what I'm supposed to do with my life. It's hitting hard. I mean, obviously I've been recording these speeches lately and putting them up on the various platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I'm sitting here in my car editing the next one, putting the video together, because I think of YouTube as the primary hub, in my opinion, because they're videos, they're recorded speeches. With video too, not just like a podcast. So that was naturally where my mind went in terms of like where I hope I would spread my message. That would be like the primary place I would look to spread it. And Instagram and the other ones would kind of support it. But I thought YouTube is clearly the best platform for what do they call it? Long format platform. People go there with the intent on watching the same thing, the same video specifically, not just listening to something, for more than a couple minutes, right? I mean, there's infinite number of channels out there about an infinite number of topics that people love to just sit and watch other people's lives. Whatever it is that people are creating, people are interested to watch. So I kind of assumed that YouTube would be the platform that I would focus on with the most of my bandwidth. Anyway, so I'm sitting here in my car editing the next one, and I was wanting to listen to something in the background while I was editing it. So I started I played one of my previous speeches in the background, but I wasn't watching the video for it because I was using the screen to edit the next video. And I'm looking at the heads-up display on my dashboard, like right there, where it shows like the name of the song that's playing. And I was listening to my third speech about the constitutionally protected rights of unvaccinated people and how they're being trampled on. And so I'm listening to that speech. Like, I wrote the speech, I delivered it, I know it very well. And it really hit me that when I'm watching the videos, I'm like hypercritical. I like down to the stuff about editing, like I should have done the light different. I should have cut at a slightly different transition. Like I remember I did multiple takes for it, and I'm thinking, man, maybe I should have chose the other take. So that's my thought process when I watch one of my videos. It's very distracted, and I'm not hearing myself in the message a lot of times. So when I was just sitting in my car, actually only listening to the audio, and then I look up and the screen on my heads-up dashboard thingy, that technical name, says passionate analyst talks about COVID, such and such. And like that's the name of my YouTube video. I made that name, but I felt very overwhelmed with like a third person situation. Like I'm hearing someone else talking, and I'm hearing what they're talking about, not what I was talking about. Some person out there is saying these things, and it moved me. I was like, I can imagine other people driving in their car on the way home from work, just having this in their ear, and the message really resonating that way. It felt a lot like NPR. Like I remember I work from home now, but I used to drive to work every day, and I would typically listen to NPR on the way, because this is a great way to, if you have 10 to 15 minutes for your commute, it's a great way to absorb a couple of current event stories, and occasionally you'll get like an interesting, quirky thing. So that's kind of what it made me think about, was like, I could totally see people hearing this on their way to wherever and talking about it, like with their coworkers, with their family. Like, so even though I believe this, I did hear a podcast saying that this is the other people's perspective. And you know, I understand the other people's perspective a little better now. I still disagree with it, but at least I understand it now. That is my life's purpose right there. That's the epiphany. I've been told in many different roles in my life, whether it was like a supervisor or a project manager, currently a program manager, even when I did customer service, that perhaps one of my strongest traits, most valuable traits, is my ability to communicate. So I never really knew what I was supposed to do with that skill, because you can take that skill and do it anywhere. You know, any company you work for, they need good communicators. So it's a great skill to have. I highly suggest you work on your communication skills, become articulate. So I've always had this existential question of, okay, thank you, God, for giving me the skill in the first place and all of the exposure and experience to develop that skill. I'm very grateful for that. But please, at some point, show me the most important thing I could do with that skill. And that's the quest of everybody's life, okay? Is discover what your talent, what your God-given talent is, and use that to the best of your ability to improve the lives of the people around you as your primary focus, because that will have a consequential effect of making your life very fulfilling and happy. It's counterintuitive. Most people pursue their own happiness first, thinking that that's like the highest priority, right? It seems like that would be the case. But what you find over and over from the most well-spoken and admirable people, they'll tell you the things that bring them the most fulfillment are not going and finding what makes them feel good. It's offering that feeling of feeling good to other people. So to be able to do that, you have to communicate very well. And so I'm like, okay, God, what am I you made me a good communicator. I'm appreciative of that, but what do you want me to do with that skill? And as a Christian, I believe that, like, first and foremost is to spread his word, not my word, not my political beliefs, not fitness inspiration. My primary purpose in life is non-negotiably bringing people closer to God. I want them to know what it feels like to have a unconditional love, because a lot of times that's hard to find. And I have that 24/7, 365. So just imagine a life like that. That's my primary purpose in life. Okay, so secondary purpose in life is when I'm not bringing people closer to God, if possible. I understand not everybody is interested. I'm not a pusher. So how else could I use this skill? And so then today, sitting here, hearing myself as if I were a podcaster, not having the distraction, you know, of my imperfections and of my insufficiencies when it comes to skills of creating YouTube videos. Like, I know I'm not the best editor. I'm everything is done on my iPhone. That's it. Like, there's no other equipment. There's no one else shooting the videos. There's no one else writing the speeches. 100% of the content is me. So I have to figure out how to really narrow my focus and do what I do best, and get help from others to do what they do best. So perhaps this is me asking some people out there, whoever you are, if you want to help me spread the message. It's an important one. And I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about, that's an important one. That's a very important one. But I know that I'm not trying to put you in that situation. What I'm talking about today is spreading the political message of there are basic human rights that we all have, no matter what you believe about vaccines, no matter if you believe in God or not, irrelevant. Basic human rights are non-negotiable. You don't get to withhold medical services from people based on their belief. You don't get to deprive them of social interaction. Okay, like this stuff, listen to the speeches. That's the content of them. That's the war that I'm trying to influence. Man, second epiphany. Should I go there? I'll give you a preview of it because it just hit me. I've had this thought before. It's another thing I've always known about myself, and that's I have always been a mediator, like the reliable rock of chaos. You know, whenever shit's going down, people know that they can talk to Josh and he'll give them an unbiased, emotionally calm response. So it's the combination of that skill and being able to articulate all of these thoughts, being the good communicator part. It's the synergy of those two things that probably define me. So I need some help with the other skills and stuff like that. Plus, I just don't realistically have the time of day to do everything on my own. So what I need, what I've already diagnosed in terms of bottlenecks for me are the social media aspect of it. I mean, trying to get the same video up on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, and trying to hashtag all of them, and then trying to @symbol people, and then trying to go onto other people's page and write comments to pull traffic to my page, posting in Facebook groups, all that stuff. Like, I can't, if I do that, I can't make the actual content too. And that's the bottleneck that I have. Keep in mind, I have a real 40-hour-a-week job also. So all of this is trying to happen on top of that. So, all right, I'll call it there. Thanks for listening. If you want to help out, if you're savvy with social media and that kind of stuff, please do hit me up.